My name is Ini Akpan. I am one of the team, I belong to one of the teams here in this church. I'm in the finance team. Pastor G is telling me about the time now. And so I am one of the teams here. I work here. I serve here. I volunteer here as a treasurer. And so I am going to present the finance report of the church to you because you deserve to know, isn't it? Every day you come here and we ask you to give to God. We tell you how to give. You deserve to know what has been happening with the money that you have been giving. So before I actually start with my presentation, I want to just remind us of something, reflect on something. And I want to read from the book of Luke chapter 19 verse 12 to 13. Quickly, it says, a man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas. Put this money to work, he said, until I come back. So I want to put in context the fact that whatever offering you give, your tithe and offering that you give to this church, you are actually giving that money to church to put it to work, isn't it? So you are entrusting the leadership of this church to put that money into work. And therefore, we owe you the duty to come and account to you. Now, in the book of Luke, chapter 16, briefly, book of Luke, chapter 16, verses 1 to 2. Okay, verses 1 to 2. Let me get there quickly. Luke 16, chapter 16. Okay, Luke chapter 16, verses 1 to 2. It says, Jesus told his disciples, there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So he called him in and asked him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management because you cannot be manager any longer. So this reminds us that Jesus, this story illustrates the importance of accountability, isn't it? This rich man said, you must come and give an account. You can see, for those of us in the finance field, you can see that accounting started here in the Bible, where we have to give an account. So actually, this passage brings the importance of accountability to us, and which is what we want to know. We know that churches these days, we hear a lot of stories. Churches are exploiting people, stealing, taking money for whatever. But here in this church, we give account because there's really nothing to hide, isn't it? And since you are a faithful giver, a faithful tither, we owe that responsibility to show you how your money is being spent. Amen? And so because of that, I have to present this report, and I want to say that in preparing this report, Pastor G did not influence me in any way. I had to use bank statements and everything and prepare it the way it is there. So please be aware of that. Okay, so before I actually show you the numbers, I just want to, for those of you who are new, like Pastor G said, most people in this church are actually new right now. So I just want to take you through the financial policy that we have, policies that have been put in place to safeguard the money that you give so faithfully every Sunday. So we operate on a cash counting and handling policy. We do have people giving money through EFTs and all of that. And we also have those who give envelopes, every Sunday. Okay. So every Sunday, when we receive the envelopes, we actually do count them. And when we count these envelopes, we have at least 2 people who are involved in the counting. No one person does that. Okay. So we count it so that, there are no gray areas. We don't have thieves in this church. Nobody steals. But we do have these policies in place, just to help us handle the finances well. So we have 2 people counting and personally, those people counting cash and even banking, you do know that I can't go to that office alone, isn't it? I can't go to the safe alone. I must always go with someone. It is part of our financial policy. Not that anybody is suspecting me or no, we just have to. That's the way it is. Because if the world can have put good systems in place, how much more the Church of God? Charity should begin, they say charity begins at home, isn't it? This accountability should begin from the Church of God, isn't it? And so we have to put things in place, to be able to manage and account for God's money. So that's what we do. And our pastors have elected not to handle money. Pastor G doesn't know the PIN number. He doesn't do any of those things. If money needs to be paid, he just sends a request through, and myself and my sister, we process it and we do that. Pastor G doesn't do that. Doesn't handle money. So that is just for your attention, for your information. And we have a system for preparing a salary structure here. Pastor G does not fix his salary. Okay, his salary is determined. There's a guideline from the national on how salaries should be set, and then the elders will take it from there. They set it, they decide what is to be paid to him and all of that. So we have a system of salary structure, and the salary, one of the guidelines from the national is that the salary must not exceed 55% of our total income. So, and like I will talk about it later, currently, the salary as a percentage of total income is nowhere near that. So we can be sure that the money that we receive here as tithe and offering is not taken by the pastor for his own, doesn't go into his own pocket, all of it, no. Okay, so, and like I said, I'm going to talk about that later when we get there. And we also operate on a budget. We have a budget that is prepared. We actually have the budget items. So whenever money is to be spent, Pastor G will have to identify where does that money go to, or where is it going to come from? Which budget item, do we trace that money to? That is the way we do it. And so when a request is made, a particular budget item that can be traced to that particular expenditure will have to be indicated. Okay, so now for the last financial year, the financial year of the church runs from March to February of the following year. So for the last financial year, which is from March 2021 to February 2022, we have the total annual income of 1,405,136 rand, which actually comes to an average of 117,094 rand per month. Okay, and how was that money spent? Okay. How was the money spent? So if you can look at that pie chart, there's that big pie there that has about 48%. That is the pie. Actually, the way the budget is prepared, we have 5 main budget items. And that is done so that the money doesn't go into one particular expense. No. Now the church plans in such a way that we have an item, we have an account item which is finance. We have money allocated to administration. We have money allocated to growth because the church must grow and there are growth activities. We have money allocated to facilities for maintenance of facilities. So those different colors of the pie represent the various expenditure head that we have. And now, so the biggest pie there, which is about 48%, is on employee costs. Okay. Yeah, that goes to employee cost. Now, that employee cost does not mean salaries alone, okay? So that's where we trace salaries, a pension fund, medical aid, and there's a lot of expenditure that belongs to that particular expense head. So don't think that 48% is on salaries. No, it's not. There's a whole lot of other expenditures that fall under that particular pie, slice of the pie. And then we also have, can't see very clearly here. Okay, and so we have the one for the next one there, which is that light blue there, is for administration. Now, for that administration, we have a number of expenses, that fall into that particular group: accounting fees, printing, telephone expenses, light, and all of that. There's a number of expenses that fall into that pie, and that takes about 16% of total income, went for that particular one. Now we have the next one, which is for facilities. With facilities, municipal bills, repairs and maintenance. If you come here, Pastor G is always repairing something here. On Wednesday, I think I was here, there was somebody fixing something. There's always something to fix, okay? So that comes from that pie. Cleaning of the church and many other expense headings that belong to that particular pie. Now we have the one for growth. We have the one for growth is the one for this one, hospitality. Sorry? Okay, so we have a expense item called growth. Now, for growth, we have hospitality, we have music production, we have communion that we take every Sunday, we have even the integration, welcome home, and money is spent. So money that is spent on all of that belong to that particular pie. And then we have the last one, which is what? National, regional, care and compassion honorarium. We do have pastors, people coming to preach, and we give money to. So when we pay money, that money is allocated to that particular group of expenses. Okay? So these are the various. There are a lot of other details that belong to these different pies. But this is just to give you an indication of how money is spent. We don't just have money and then we spend as we please. We have expenditure heads, that we allocate the money into. So for the year 2021 to 2022, these are the various expenditure items that money was spent on. So now, what about this year? We want to give you a snapshot of what happens this year. Okay, now this particular year, the financial year that we are still currently running, started from March 2022. So from March 2022 to June, we want to report up to June because July is still running. July has not yet ended. So for the 4 months under consideration, what you see there, that's the income for the months from March to June, and those are the expenses. You can see the bar chart there in beautiful colors that give you an indication of how much came in versus how much was spent. Okay, and so we also have in this church, we have a scholarship fund that we have generous individuals here in church who donated some money towards a scholarship. We are still working on it because there is a lot of logistics involved, but it is to help assist people, children in school and all of that. And we have a team that will be working on how to identify the beneficiaries of the scholarship and how that will be allocated to the beneficiaries. We are still on it. Now the next thing is Heart for the House. We have a project, Heart for the House, which is a project that we have there to reach out to the communities if there's anybody in need and anybody in need of assistance, our church members or non-church members. We are not really focusing on church members there. So, but if a church member is in need of anything, we support through that fund. And even during this COVID period, when we had to give food parcels and all of that, the money that was used for that, all contributions went into that fund, and money was taken from that fund to reach out to the community, give food parcels. And as we speak, the amount of money that is left in that account is about 10,246 rand 30 cents. So that's how much we still have in that account to be able to reach out to people who are in need. So as of June, this year, which is last month, and these are the money that we have in our account balances. You can see that our main account, which is the current account, is in deficit. Okay, so we really need your generosity there, So and then you have the petty cash account, had some money in there. We have this e-box account where we get some points, and we have a total of 3,909 rand 90 cents there. And we do have in our investment account that has this, that's where the scholarship fund is being invested until we are ready to use. Okay, so we have other matters that we also have to report on. We do some tracking to be able to see where the church is going, the way people give, so that we can also plan, so we can also strategize along that line. So as a result, please don't think that we have been keeping tabs on you to see how much you are giving. No, we just wanted to know how many people are giving so that we'll be able to just plan accordingly. So now this slide actually shows the number of givers, and so this number here reflects the number of people who do EFTs and who do card swipes. Okay, now we do have those who give envelopes on Sundays. See, that number is not included here. Please note. Okay, so we do have more people giving. So, but we are at this point just able. If you look at the bank statement, you are able to see all those card swipes and the EFT. So those who are giving through EFT and card swipes, these are the numbers. You can see that the numbers keeps dwindling, isn't it? And you can correlate that with the bank balance that we have, this negative bank balance. So you can see the number of people actually just swiping is getting reduced, but we are trusting God that God will help us, that number to increase so that our financial position can improve. Okay, so, and we also the church had tax issues, okay? There was a tax compliance issue. Now, this tax issue is not something that happened recently. The church was not compliant since the year 2012, and I think between the year 2012 and 2017, that was before Pastor G joined this church. Okay, so there were tax issues. So now when he joined, he tried to settle, try to address that matter so that the church can have a tax clearance certificate. So as a result, a tax assessment was raised. A tax assessment of about 30,250 rand was raised against the church, which the church must pay before being able to obtain the tax clearance certificate. So the church has that liability, and so far we have worked with SARS. We have a beautiful accountant in Cape Town who has been working with us through this process. Currently, we've reached an agreement, so we've agreed with SARS to pay this money over to them over a period of about 6 months. So we have that arrangement to pay this money within a 6-month period. And as a result of that arrangement now, we have been given a tax certificate of good standing, by the tax authority. So we have that certificate of good standing. We can show that if somebody says we're not tax compliant, at least we have something to show for now. Okay, so now another thing that we want to bring to your attention is the fact that the church now has a new accountants. We had a bit of struggle with the previous accountants, and then we felt the need to change. Now, so our new accountants is called, or they are called Kubuli Associates. They are in Vincent. We've worked with them for about a month or so now, and we are very, very pleased with the level of service. And so we are hoping that going forward, because as a church, we do prepare our annual financial statements. Okay? As we speak now, the 2022 annual financial statement is not ready because we were still struggling with the previous accountants. Okay? And so we are hoping that with the transition to this new accountant, they will be able to do this on time, because the accounting laws does say, within a period of 6 months, after the end of a financial year, the financial statements should be ready. Okay, and so we are really working towards that. Our financial year ended, I think, in February this year. We are hoping that actually by this month, by this week, we should be done with our financial statement, but it has dragged on for so long. We are hoping that working with this new accountant, we should be getting these things ready, because we are actually working towards, having our tax issues settled on time, obtaining tax clearance certificates on time every year. So what are the outstanding issues that we have now? We have the PBO status. You know that the church is registered as a public benefit organization. And when you register, you need a certificate of registration, and you use that to do everything else, even these tax issues also. So the church is still working towards, because there was a little bit of complication around that, but we are almost there. Now that we are almost settling our tax issues, so that will help us to quickly sort out this PBO status. And then the workman's compensation, okay? Every organization must, have a workman compensation fund just in case something happens to one of the workers. We have not been able to do that because of the PBO status. We need the PBO status to be sorted so that this workman compensation can begin to pay. But we do put money periodically away, just in lieu of that, so that when the status is sorted and we are ready to pay the workman compensation fund, at least we will have initial funds to pay into that fund. Okay, so these are the outstanding issues that still need to be done. But on the whole, the church is moving forward. You guys have been so wonderful, very, very generous. We know that times are tough. Things, now interest rate has just gone up, inflation and everywhere, and people have challenges, individual challenges, family challenges. And that might have led to, number of givers dropping and all of that. We do know, but we still want to encourage you to continue giving, towards the work of the kingdom. As you can see, we maintain a very strict, good financial policy, very good financial oversight over all that you give. And actually, now, what I said, I will mention. One thing I will mention is that just to give you guys peace of mind in knowing that your money is well taken care of. I want to give an example. For example, this year, Pastor G, I apologize, I must just say it, okay? This year, we know, for those of us who are working, we do know that every year there is this salary increment, isn't it? You see, you hear workers going on strike and over salary increment. Of course, Pastor G is working here. It's a job. Should also get a salary increment. You will not believe that after that was worked out this year for him, he refused to take it. He said because the finances is not right, the church finances is not right. So he refused, for that to be implemented. So I'm just trying to show how selfless he is, you see, just for you to know that he is not there. Nobody is there to really amass wealth for himself the way we hear people do. Here in this church, it is not like that. And even that was determined without, he never was involved in that determination. It is whatever the elders determined for him, that is what goes to him. But in his integrity, he refused for that to be implemented because he says, I cannot deplete God's purse when the church is not yet out of the wood financially. I will not get it implemented now. So that is what is going on here. And even salary as a percentage of total income is about 30-something%, you see. And they can actually be paid up to about 55% of total income that comes here. But as we speak, it is way below that, okay? So just to get you to know that whatever money is you give is well taken care of. And we are trusting you that you will continue to give to God. And remember, when you give here, you are not giving to anybody. You are giving to God. And that is why we also have to do our own part, because God wants us to be good managers of his money. God wants us to be good managers of his money, of his resources. And so we shall continue we are not saying we are perfect. We are not perfect in everything that we do, but we are trying our best to maintain financial integrity here, okay? We are trying to do that. So we are trusting God to continue to provide, because we know when he provides, you will be generous. And your generosity should be because of God's faithfulness. God has been so faithful, really. And that is why when the song, one of the songs in the worship team, God is so faithful. I always say, I'm standing here today not because of anything that I've done. It is just his faithfulness. It is just his grace. And therefore, because he is faithful, so we must give to appreciate him, to appreciate his faithfulness. Do we know that if God were to look at us, if God were to deal with us according to who we are, nobody would be able to stand. God would have withdrawn his resources and provision from us. But he doesn't treat us that way. He still takes care of us. Why wouldn't we give to him to say thank you for your faithfulness? So this is the heart that I want us to have towards God. Let us give because he first gave it to us. Whatever we are, whatever we have, it comes from God first, okay? And if he doesn't give us, we wouldn't have it. So let us, I hope I'm not talking too much. So I want to end here. I'm very passionate about this God and giving because I know I know God is so faithful. If I want to tell the story, I'll be standing here for the next 2. That's the way I have experienced God, really. Everything, and I love this Bible verse that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean onto your own understanding. Don't trust him even with your finances. Stop the calculations, and God he will make your path straight. He will not make you disappointed, struggle to eat, struggle to take care of your family. Let us trust God with our finances, because when we trust him, a generous soul shall be fed fat by God. You see, if you are generous with your finances, God will feed you fat. You will not struggle. Thank you very much, Pastor G. I think I've gone beyond what I should have said, but thank you very much. Thank you, Destiny.
Yeah, thank you. That was very good, wasn't it? And thank you so much, Innie. I'm sorry to rush you, and she would have wanted to give you more layers of detail, and she's actually prepared a very thorough report in preparation for this in writing. By the way, we practice an open book policy. What that means is that if you are a member of our church in good standing, you can ask Innie about anything to be updated on that. We believe that transparency inspires people to give. And how we would like to operate is that you always give us more trust and we always give you more information than you need. Isn't that a good arrangement? We're always going to try to over-communicate with you where we are so that there's, and then you give us trust. And there will be times where there's gaps, where there's struggle, and that puts trust in those gaps. And so anyway, just to thank you so much, Innie, for the excellence with which you've prepared all of that. And just a little comment where we are, the big picture. Again, remember what's happened among us. This is a brand new church. People who sustained this church financially for 20 years are not here anymore. If you have walked into the building in the last few months, you are Jesus' church. You are the ones that God has called together to advance his vision. And we've had a struggle, which is why we're in debt. We're going to keep pushing to get out of debt. It's a bit of a seesaw. You have to spend money to get to a place where you get out. So we've just employed someone, okay? She's not earning anywhere near what she should be earning right now for that. But we have to move forward just a little bit, and the growth will bring money with it as God works in people's lives. So we're doing well. Just remember, last year, 117,000. First few months of this year, 85,000. Now, June, we're doing much better, 108,000. 43 givers in April, 58 givers this last month in June. That's 11 more people have started giving regularly in between April and now. That means that your contribution matters, and the contribution of every person who's connected with this church, it matters. 11 people have been a game changer for us, and it's moving upwards. So please, let me urge you to see yourself not as a consumer, but as someone who shares the responsibility that we have for our mission. And you may say, I don't think my little bit will matter. You know what? Imagine the boy with his lunch, with his couple of fish and his 5 loaves, if he'd said his contribution didn't matter, he took that little thing that he had, he put it in the hands of Jesus, and it was multiplied. And so I want you to understand, there are some people that give large amounts in this church, but the trunk of the tree is not exceptionally large amounts. It's actually a whole lot of people giving their faithful tithe. It's a whole lot of people trusting over and above their tithe to give offerings. And so this culture where we are right now, it's not built on the extravagance of a few people who have a lot of wealth. It's built on the faithfulness of people who are trusting God in their ordinary lives. Keep trusting God. Let's keep going. We're doing well. Keep praying about this, and let's keep moving forward in Jesus' name. Amen.